Usually I'm driving Japanese utes, but on this occasion I'm driving a German model, the Volkswagen Amarok. This is the Highline model, and it's got an 8-speed gearbox, and I want to just count the gears up with you, so have a listen to this. Here we go. First into second, into third, into fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, and lucky last is the overdrive 8th. And there it is. So 8 speeds before I even get up to 80 kilometers an hour. So it gets up to speed reasonably quickly, but it also shuffles up through the gears quite quickly too. And that's going to get us some pretty good fuel efficiency. Clever Germans. So a lot of people have asked me for an opinion on the Amarok, and they often quiz the fact that it's only got a 2-litre 4-cylinder diesel motor. Now, I'm a bit of a sucker for Newton meters as well. The more you've got, the merrier, I reckon. And the Amarok's outputs of 400 Newton meters aren't especially stellar in the current climate. But I have to tell you, the twin turbo setup on this 2-litre motor is actually really good. It gets up and boogies quite nicely. In fact, I'm just going to nail it now, and let's see what happens. So there's a pretty substantial kick in the back there, and we're off up to speed. So it's not a bad motor. I'm told that it tows pretty well, and in the around town work that I've done so far, it seems to win the traffic light Grand Prix pretty easily as well. So fuel efficiency coupled up to good drivability, I reckon the Amarok's not a bad machine. The interior of the vehicle is pretty nice. It's using very good quality materials. There's nothing plasticky about it. It looks like it's well built, it's robust, it's laid out nicely. The seats are nice and comfy, plenty of adjustment for bolsters, back, rake, it's all there. Well, the delightful drive through the Adelaide Hills on the bitumen is all done and dusted now. Now it's time to get down and dirty. Let's find out what this Amarok will do. Well, this Highline model of the Amarok doesn't have a traditional dual-speed gearbox. It doesn't have the low range option. But what it does have is an off-road mode. There's a selectable button down here on the centre console that I can engage, and that operates through the vehicle's brakes to electronically control the rate of descent, and also too, it having an 8-speed gearbox in this vehicle means that in first gear it's got good deep reduction in the gearbox in any case. So whilst we haven't got what I'd usually expect in terms of my off-road selections, I do have a vehicle that on the face of it so far looks like it's still pretty capable off-road. So let's put it to the test. Let's find out a little bit more about it. Well, so far the off-road impressions have been pretty decent. You know, it goes everywhere that the other utes I drive go, but running downhill I was expecting, because it was an automatic transmission, that it might want to start to run away. But commendably, with the ultra-low first gear coupled up to the electronics activating the brakes for the downhill descents, it regulates the speed nice and safely. In fact, I'll give you a demo of it right now. We're just approaching the ditch where we go into the water down here. I'm going to take my foot off the accelerator pedal, which is usually filled with fear and loathing with an automatic, but as soon as it picks up too much speed, the brakes come on, slow the rate of descent down commendably, and I'm just tootling through here at a speed I would normally expect in low range, in first gear, in a manual, off the clutch. So that was a pretty good effort. So the next section we've got here is dealing with the moguls, and this is where the wheels are pushed right up high underneath the guards as the suspension is flexed to cope with these diagonally opposed holes. And this quite often gives cars a lot of trouble because they start to scrabble for grip as wheels lift off the ground. At the moment, so far so good. The Amarok's displaying some exceptional articulation. The only thing that's hindering it slightly is the low slung side steps. but we're making our way through this very difficult piece of terrain without too much trouble. Except for that one. So the Amarok runs a traditional leaf spring back end and independent front suspension, which is the standard for all of the utes that are in the marketplace today. It is a little bit different in that it is a full-time four-wheel drive, and it has something like 60% of the drive going out through the back wheels and 40% through the front. But it has the capacity, courtesy of its centre differential, to vary the rate of the drive and direct more of it to the back wheels or the front wheels as is deemed necessary by the centre differential. So it's a pretty clever beastie. That promises great on-road potential, particularly when it's wet and maybe icy. And off-road, again, it's doing a pretty good job of delivering the torque where it's needed to. Well, this is one of my favourite party tricks, where I'm doing this nice little balancing act. I've got the left-hand rear wheel cocked up in the air, as you can see, bounce, bounce. And now I'm going to gently increase the engine speed, get the traction control to bite and drive the car forward. So there we go, straight out of the hole. That was pretty impressive. It tells us that the Amarok's traction control is tuned nicely for its off-road function in combination with this off-road button. So it comes in really quickly, puts the brakes on, gets that power down to the ground, and away we go again. But there's one more ace up the Amarok sleeve, and that's a rear axle diff lock. The sign of a good four-wheel drive is when it's got an extra traction aid, this time in the form of a rear axle diff lock. Now it's activated via a button down here adjacent to the transmission lever. It's confirmed with a light up here on the dashboard, and what it's going to do is lock up each back axle half as one. So even though this left-hand rear wheel is going to be off the ground by a mile, the car will continue to drive through. Let's find out what happens. Here we go. So we'll find my party trick again. Here it comes. So there we go. We just drove straight through that impediment. No hesitation at all. Very clever system. Now in the Amarok, remember, we don't have the benefit of low range. So I've activated the off-road function. I'm locked back into first gear at the moment. And let's see what happens on Hummer Hill here and how slow a descent the vehicle makes. Braked electronically. Again, it's super slow. Very commendable rate of descent. It's a surprise package, this car. So as they say, what goes down must go up. Well, something like that. So we're going to put the Amarok to the test running up Hummer Hill. It's a really steep incline. It's only a little short, sharp pitch, but it has caught out a lot of other vehicles in the past. I'm looking at it, it looks pretty daunting. I'll get the wheels lined up in the ruts, gently increase the engine speed, and away we go. And that was pretty easy. Well done. Well, that concludes our summary of the Volkswagen Amarok. It's been a pretty good ride. It hasn't been without some issues though. There's been a couple of little electronic things that have given us a little bit of grief, but we've risen above them. On-road and off-road, the car is commendable. It's very comfortable, it's quiet, it's a delight to drive. And it's a surprise package in the off-road stakes because this Highline model doesn't have the benefit of low range. So the electronics in four-wheel drive have done a really good job of masking that deficiency. It's gone everywhere other vehicles have gone on this track in the past, and I expect it would be a great vehicle to own into the future. So go check it out at your local Volkswagen dealer. Well, such is the nature of road testing that sometimes don't go quite according to plan, and our Amarok had to go home on the back of a tow truck. Now, since I've been reading up about the issues we had, it seems like there's a couple out there, but I would implore you, if you're in the marketplace for a new vehicle, you need to do your due diligence. Read plenty, have a look at whatever road test information you can get, and then make an informed decision.